Hi, I'm Mary Testa, and you're listening to You Might Know Her From with Anne and Damien.
Just to offer context, folks, when Alice lost her cat on the L Word, I knew that a firefighter was going to ultimately rescue the cat from a tree. And I knew that the natural progression for that would be that Tasha, who they had hinted at from a few episodes prior, was going to naturally be a firefighter. What was hilarious, which was like, why would a firefighter be wearing their like helmet with a mask to get a cat out of a tree at like 8 p.m.? Whatever. But I knew it was going to be Tasha, and then I screamed.
Yeah. No,
because it was a wonderful reveal, and also because that show, like almost nobody has chemistry. So when I was like, wow, they really have acting chemistry.
There's been so few good moments of the L Word Generation Q that we'll take whatever we can get. But the return of Rose Rollins was truly a beautiful thing, because we screamed similarly when Tina returned on season 1, but I just feel like we've been waiting for something good to finally happen. And you know what? Rosie being like the elder queer of the show really works for me. So I feel like I've dedicated 3 seasons to Generation Q, a show that is pretty horrible, and I didn't know that I had that in me, but turns out I do.
I have a question. So, like, we know that Laurel Holloman and Jennifer Beals have good chemistry. Like, people love them together. But when Donald Faison came back on this season, I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
I prefer this to watching like Kate Meddig and
Jamie Clayton
acting,
no
because
chemistry.
Like they're both bad.
Yeah.
Or not they're both bad, but like they don't have chemistry together.
Yeah.
And I was like, Leisha Haley and Donald Faison have great acting chemistry. So my question is like, does Leisha Haley, think about this really, before you answer the question, does Leisha Haley have chemistry with everyone she acts opposite? And now let me name these people to you: Jennifer Beals and Kate Meddig, Erin Daniels, Rosani Zayas, Stephanie Aileen, Erin Daniels, I think I already said that. Rose Rollins, who plays Tasha. Donald Faison.
I'm going to stop you right there.
I think she does.
She does. She has something that I wish translated to like the rest of her acting career, because this is someone who is like in a gay movie.
She has
and, like,
chemistry with everybody.
Yeah, and she's like famous for a Yoplait commercial from like 2000. But I don't know why she doesn't work more, because she's very charming.
When Leisha Haley, like, there was a whole bit between her and Joey Lauren Adams where Joey Lauren Adams was like, you look like you're in a tampon commercial, like you just woke up. And I was like, is that a joke about her commercial career?
Right, maybe. But we can't give the show too much credit, because whatever they are doing, they're doing very little, very well. But
you think very little, very well?
Yes.
Is that right?
They're doing very...
very little well.
Yes.
They're
doing very
like,
little, very well.
Okay, I was thinking you were saying like they're doing like very little but very well.
Oh God, no. Sorry, my syntax is off tonight because I just ate 2 crab rangoon. Crab rangoon, I think, is an American delight.
Crab rangoon is to like Italian American culture. It's like it is such an Americanized version of what? I don't even know. It's cream cheese in a phyllo pastry, deep fried, and then sold at any Asian restaurant in a certain like metropolitan area.
It's to me, I think of it as a Midwestern thing, because I grew up with a Kraft American cheese cookbook. We have it on our shelf at my parents' house still. It is a cookbook where every recipe includes Kraft American cheese. Includes Kraft cream cheese.
How many recipes?
I don't know. Like it's a
How many?
book.
Give me an idea.
75.
Oh, okay.
Here's the thing, Damien. Old cookbooks, does anybody care about this? Old cookbooks had like 3 recipes a page. It's not like a beautiful glossy photo and then a recipe on the opposite page. It's like they just fit that shit in, because they're like, how do you make a casserole? How do you make a spinach pie? How do you make a pot roast? How do you make a lasagna? Like, these are the things Americans eat.
Are you interested, again, does anyone care, but are you interested in you and me making... like alternating and making one recipe out like for the next year, like 1 month
from the cream cheese cookbook?
Yeah.
Yes, that's a great idea. Let's do it. Okay, so I used to have the signature dish in my 20s that I would bring. My friends know, my college friends know. I would bring to every gathering. It would be crab dip mixed with cream cheese, covered with sliced almonds, and then baked for like 25 minutes. And it's like a hot crab cream cheese appetizer dip, which explains a lot that I requested the crab rangoon for dinner tonight. But I'm really ready. I make a really good like pumpkin bread. The base is cream cheese. It's like
I have a question.
Yeah.
I remember hearing this from like the rumors.
Oh no.
Is it true that you used to put cream cheese in your guacamole?
Yeah, that's 100% true. I put a dollop of cream cheese in my guacamole, and some people would then call it a dip, not a proper guacamole, which, I agree at this point. I know that the New York Times got dragged for like making guacamole with peas, I think, and saying that every guacamole needs peas. But I feel like cream cheese is an all-American food that I'm ready to, let's do that in the new year. It's 2023. Here we are going to be cooking at least once a month with cream cheese.
Is this our first episode of the new year?
It is. Happy New Year.
Hello and Happy New Year. Oh, well, gosh, it feels so weird to not be here and checking in with y'all, but we're so happy to be back. Hello, welcome back to You Might Know Her From with Ann and Damien.
If you don't know our show, this is our podcast where we shoot the shit with each other about the comings and goings of our daily lives, what we're consuming, whether that be cream cheese or Jennifer Beals, and also interview a character actress or a non-binary performer each and every episode. So here we are. Thank you so much for joining us. The holidays were such a wild time, and I feel like now we're out of it such that we're like forced to enter the real world. But I spent so much time with my family over the holiday break. I was home for like a solid 14 days. I call it a fortnight. It was good and also difficult, but I consumed a lot of content because my family is usually in bed at like 10 p.m. when I'm in Missouri. So I got to see a lot of my friends, which was really lovely, but I really spent, I would say I consumed upwards of 30 hours of things related to NXIVM. And The Vow season 2 came out, I think, this past year. So I was catching up. I had not watched season 1, and it triggered something in me because it's like the part of me that loves Scientology and consumed everything I could related to Scientology. And I know I'm never going to get you on board with watching it, but
no. I'm going to.
It's really, I think season 1 and 2 of The Vow is very interesting, but then my friend Angie, who knows more than I do, told me there's another documentary about another person in the cult called Seduced on, I think, Hulu or Stars. There's just like a lot of content. Then I really went down a deep dive of people on YouTube of people that are still in the cult and like them defending the cult, like current day. Mm-hmm. Anyway, it is salacious. It is like the psychology of all of it is fascinating. And so I often try to think like, would I be a better cult leader or a better cult member? And I know about myself 1,000% that I'm a cult member. Like I am not a leader in any way, shape, or form.
I think I'm a wannabe cult leader, but I think I'm a cult member.
Interesting. Yeah. I just I can't get over, I mean, it consumed my thoughts for like, I don't know, probably 75% of each day. And I kept bringing it up to my girlfriend and she really didn't watch it with me at all and really doesn't care. And so I kept like telling her these long involved stories about the cult and she just couldn't get involved. So I just need somebody. I know a lot of people are listening. I know a lot of people are consuming it. So if you have watched season 1 and 2 of The Vow, if you've watched Seduced, please reach out to me because I just want to keep talking about it.
Okay, so something in the same vein of NXIVM is Shelly Miscavige, which, okay, if you don't know who she is, hold on tight. So, one, Gerard Carmichael, who hosted the Golden Globes
on a Tuesday,
which is like, that's a whole other wild thing to discuss for a later day. But then 2, I feel like people were like, yes, this is it, this is the future, he is subversive, he is the future. And then other people were like, this is embarrassing. So like, you can draw your own conclusions, you can DM us about it, we can discuss it. But one of the jokes that he made was about Shelly Miscavige. And then...
But okay, he mispronounced it. He said, and I was like, I didn't even get the joke. And people were like, oh my God, online, I can't believe he said it. He said Shelly Miscavige, which just goes to show that he's not done his research. Maybe he got nervous, but it is Shelly Miscavige.
Pete, that is the T. Okay, and then also our friend of the podcast, frequent requested to be on it, Leah Remini, she tweeted like, today would be my friend Shelly Miscavige's, I think 60th, but Anne says maybe older, birthday. Like, I haven't seen her since she was like 37. Like, I hope to one day get to see her for her birthday.
Every year, Leah Remini's like, where's Shelly? Where's Shelly? Where's Shelly? Where's Shelly?
In the same vein of talking about NXIVM, I just think like it is so wild that nobody, and when I say nobody, I just mean like law enforcement, the authorities, whatever that sort of like
Scientology
generic
has
like
deep...
people who care. You know what I mean? Like obviously people know, but it just seems like they have
tax exempt status and that's part of it. But it really is, they're going to get taken down eventually because of financial reasons. I mean,
what's the husband's name?
David Miscavige.
So, like, do they have any children together?
I don't think so.
To my knowledge, they do not either.
I can't remember, but I don't think so.
It's just like, it is so interesting that he has been able to, because he is so aligned with Tom Cruise, who is a huge movie star. I mean, I know this is like Leah Remini's whole point is like, you know,
their power is very far reaching. They also have like headquarters in multiple international waters. Like they are outrageously, their pockets are outrageously deep.
You know, if you don't know this already, like we have reached out to Leah Remini and we love her. Of course, we love her for Saved by the Bell, the summer season. We love her for her best friendship with Michelle Visage. We love her because she is Italian American. We love her because she is a whistleblower in Scientology. Yes. But you know, like, I think she like sees herself in the industry in like a way that I find really admirable and honestly like. Yeah, just like admirable, period. But we have reached out to her multiple times and we always get like a, hey, like please reach out like to her. She's on hiatus with us. Or like, hey, please reach back out in 6 months. And like, I will, Aaron, I will, Alyssa, I will, Kristen, I will, Sarah. But, you know, like she is just like so incredible to me because she is doing the thing. Like she's walking the fucking duck. She's doing the thing, you know?
Yeah.
I love her so much. And I hope that one day we get to talk to her. But like about her, I want to talk to her about playing Stacey Carosi. I want to talk to her about all of the things.
She was great in that movie with J-Lo and Annalee Ashford. Like it was a great movie.
Second act, baby.
She was so funny.
Vanessa Hudgens was J-Lo's daughter, and it's just a great movie of women. We love it.
It's like a beautiful movie to watch on a plane. You know what I mean? Those are the things that you need to keep close to you.
A beautiful movie to watch on a plane. It's a perfect. I love it so much.
I think it's a genre. What you were saying about Leah Remini really rings true with the person that we have this month for the show, because I just feel like the thing that we love so much, which is why we invited the legendary stage actor, Mary Testa, to be on the show with us, is that she is a person who just like walks the walk. DGAF is who she is, has been herself since day one, and has gotten tons and tons of work because of it. And that just rang really true when we had our one-on-one with her. Because you never know what you're going to get. And we were just so charmed by this Italian-American, stunning, iconic, comedic, brilliant, grounded woman of the theater. I mean, if you don't know Mary Testa, please, there's going to be a bevy of clips in the show notes that we're just going to pound you with. We're going to pound you with clips of Mary Testa. I feel like she'd be fine with it.
You might know her from New York stage productions of Queen of the Mist,
Xanadu,
42nd Street,
Barnum,
The Rink,
A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum,
Oklahoma,
and Whoopi,
Sex and the City,
and The Bounty Hunter. Okay, we are delighted, excited to be here with theatrical legend Mary Testa. Mary, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. That delights me. I've been doing absolutely nothing, and so I feel like I've fallen off the face of the earth. So that makes me happy.
Oh my God. I mean, we have a laundry list here, but for our listeners, you are, of course, the New York stage mainstay, known for your beautiful belt, comedic genius. But we have to dive into the fact that we were so excited when you headlined the 2011 production of Michael John La Chuisa's off-Broadway show, Queen of the Mist.
Oh, yes.
He wrote this piece for you about Anna Edson Taylor, the woman who went over Niagara Falls in a barrel in 1901, like incredible source material. And when we were researching, we saw this interview with you and the Transport Group where you held your hands really wide and you said, like, I'm an artist and I can do this much, but I'm only ever asked to do this much, holding your hands really close together. So we were wondering, is Queen of the Mist the show and the role for you that really allowed you to showcase every single one of your talents?
It came pretty close, that's for sure. I mean, Anna is a very interesting and very flawed character and a difficult woman, but a brilliant woman. And Michael John, when he writes something for you, will go to the lowest low of your voice and the highest high of your voice and stretch you in a way that, you know, I love him. I am very proud to say I've done 6 or 7 of his shows now. I prefer to work with him over anyone. And it was the best role I ever had, just the best role. It was exhausting. I did 50 of those performances. By the time I got to the end, I was a little rough just because it was big. It was huge. And it was like almost 12 years ago now. Oh, quite a while ago.
Yeah.
It just was divine. It was absolutely divine.
You know, you've said that it was one of the most meaningful theatrical experiences of your career because you got to collaborate on a new musical with a master of his craft, and you got to take the last bow. What was the most surprising or unexpected part of being the lead in this new musical?
You know, that's an interesting question. I don't know that there was anything surprising to me. It was so deeply satisfying to be the one who said everything and sang everything for the most part. I mean, it was a gorgeous company of leading people. And so they were backing me up, which was divine. Surprising in that, why doesn't it always happen is what.
Yes.
How about that?
Those are the facts,
For
really.
me, yeah. And yeah, I guess that's the surprise is that, you know, I'm more than capable of doing it. And so why doesn't it happen all the time?
Right.
That's the way this business is set up too. And the way roles are, you know, you're the best friend and you're the lead and you look like that. So you're the lead and you look like that. So you're the best friend. And it has always driven me crazy. Yeah. And what's satisfying to me is that the new generation of women who are coming up, the ones I know, have said something to me about it, like, thank you because you've sort of blazed a trail. Now, meanwhile, like, I don't consider myself different, you know what I mean? But the business considers it different. So, I mean, somebody like Bonnie Milligan, who did an all-female 1776 before this recent one at 54 Below, and she said something to me, and I'm thrilled to see her star rising. Yeah. And I'm hoping that things change. I doubt they will that much, but, you know, but it's wonderful to see a person like Bonnie be the star of a show. Yeah. And she's, you know, she's fantastic, and she's going to continue to rise and be noticed and be notable, and paves the way for other character people who may not feel like they can be noticed, but it just paves the way. So that makes me very happy.
Yeah. You've said that in your 20s, you were competing against actresses in their 40s, and you knew that once you got into your 40s that you would be golden. So for you, was there like an aha role or a moment in your career where you finally said, oh, I think this is the sweet spot for me as a character actor?
I think just when I got into my 40s, things started happening, and, you know, the ball got, I always worked. I always did. I mean, I came up, you know, I was in Trousers with Bill Finn. So that was the first thing I did in New York City, almost the first thing I did in New York City. So I've always worked, and I've always worked with people who I adore and writers who I adore. I mean, I love Bill and feel very fortunate that, you know, I started off doing his work. You know, the funny thing about me is, and I've said this before too, is I never had a plan. All I do is put one foot in front of the other and just keep going. You know, I did think, well, I'm competing with all these older women in my 20s. So when I get to that age, it'll be easier. I just assumed that, and it actually was. So because I was a character, you know, and a character who wasn't willing to be in the chorus, you know, that wasn't my thing. I was like, no, I don't want to dance. I had a friend who was like, you better get your ass to dance classes because you need to be a triple threat. And I'm like, I don't want to be in the chorus. Why do I want to dance?
I so appreciate you.
No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I don't need to be a dancer in a chorus and, you know, hope that, no, it's not what I want. So, and I had very definite ideas about what I wanted to do when I was in my 20s. Like, no, when I was in my 20s, Grease was on Broadway, and my agents kept sending me in to replace. And I was like, I don't want to go and replace in a Broadway show. Yeah. I don't want to do that. So I had very definite things. I don't want to go on tour. I don't want to be out of my house. I don't want to do it. So I had like a laundry list of things that I didn't want to do. And so, I love it. You know, you set your boundaries, and those are your boundaries. And that's, you know, and then your career revolves around that. So that's kind of what happened.
Well, listen, it has suited you, and, you know, like, you are a New York theater icon. You've been 3 times Tony nominated for your performances in On the Town, 42nd Street, and Oklahoma. You've also starred in, like, these iconic productions, and a little laundry list for our listeners here: The Rink, Lucky Stiff, In Trousers, First Daughter Suite, A New Brain, Marie Christine, and The Knife. One of our favorites, though, is Xanadu,
Oh.
the 2007 Broadway musical adaptation of the acid trip of a movie, where you play one of the muses opposite Jackie Hoffman and then later Whoopi Goldberg.
Yes.
You know, it's always interesting seeing, like, what finds its home on Broadway and then off Broadway. Did you think that Xanadu was Broadway bound from the beginning, or did it feel like it's irreverent and campy humor seems like it would fit off Broadway?
I did not. I mean, I was involved with it from the very beginning, all of the workshops. And I remember my agent, who's since retired, Phil Edelman, called me and said, it's going to Broadway. And I was like, what? Oh, okay. You know, I honestly, I didn't focus that much on it. I knew it was so much fun. And I knew it was just great and hilarious and all of that. But I don't think in terms of Broadway. I just don't think that way. So I didn't, and I was pleasantly surprised. But what was interesting about Xanadu was that when we were in rehearsals for Broadway, I would run into people and they'd be like, are you still doing that show? How's it going? People had such disdain for it before they saw it. And I finally said to someone, I can't remember who, I was like, look at the cast list. Do you think we would do like a piece of shit? No. So stop, you know.
It's such a crowd pleaser. It's so funny. The music from the movie, like the new songs, like it's all good, but then and it's just so fucking funny and smart.
We had a ball. I had a ball doing it. It was another divine, you know, it was just great. And now there's all these, it's done all over the country. And these kids, you know, I'm auditioning for Mel Promenade. Yeah, wish me luck, you know. And so it's very sweet. It's just wonderful.
I feel like people in New York now think of you and Jackie Hoffman as like a duo in some respect because of the love that Xanadu has received. Like, it seems like you guys are real life buddies. Was that something that was cemented in Xanadu, or were you both in some of the same audition rooms like over the years?
We knew each other from before. I'm a huge fan of Jackie, and we're not a duo at all. Like, we are friends, and I respect her talent and her work tremendously. And we're friends, but we've never, after Xanadu, we never did another show together. It's like Jackie's her own entity. Jackie is singular and her own entity. So I don't claim like, oh yeah, me and Jackie, you know.
But they should have like paid you to host the Tonys together, you know, like would you have ever done that? I feel like it would have been very good.
We hosted, this is very funny. I love this story. We were asked to host, this was during Xanadu. We were asked to host, the casting association gives themselves awards every year. And Jackie and I were asked to host. And they were honoring Mike Nichols. Neither one of us had ever auditioned for Mike Nichols, and Mike Nichols couldn't have been less interested in either one of us. So we got up. There are all these people there, and I won't name names, but they were all telling Mike Nichols audition stories and, you know, all of this. And so at one point we got back up on stage, and I said, geez, Jackie, I don't really have any story about Mike Nichols. Do you? And she was like, no. And moving on, and he just sat there stone-faced. It was my favorite.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
Mary Tessa, I don't know if you've ever thought about this before, but we are sort of putting the pieces together. You've starred in two of the most famous roller skating shows on Broadway, Xanadu and The Rink, and we'll get to that in a little bit. Are you sad that you didn't get a chance to appear in Starlight Express like Andrew Lloyd Webber? What the fuck?
No. Not at all. And as a matter of fact, when we were in rehearsals in the beginning for Xanadu, Chris Ashley, who directed it, said, Jackie, Mary, and Tony are not going to skate. And we were like, good.
We were like, she didn't skate, actually. She didn't skate in it, actually, but it's still about rollers. There's still roller skating happening.
Yeah. No. Yeah. No.
Okay, so we mentioned that Whoopi stepped in to Xanadu briefly. And of course, you co-starred alongside her when she replaced Nathan Lane in the 96 revival of Forum. Later in the early aughts, you recurred on her eponymous sitcom as Sophia. Are you and Whoopi buddies, or is this all just like the small world of showbiz?
No, we are friends. I haven't seen Whoopi in a while, but she always remembers me on my birthday, and she's divine. Whoopi's got a big life, and yeah, no, we're friends, and I adore Whoopi. She's a very special person, but I haven't seen her in a long time. Yeah, there was a time when I was seeing her frequently, but I just haven't seen her in a long time. But we talk.
Yeah.
sort of in that same vein, like you appeared in some of our favorite TV shows, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, The Good Fight, Nurse Jackie, Divorce, Two Broke Girls, Smash, God Bless It, Difficult People, A Different World. Was there ever a time in your career here in New York where there was like a pressure to move to Los Angeles for like film and TV work?
I went to Los Angeles in the 80s for like 3 months because my dear friend, who is a fabulous author, Adriana Trigiani, was one of the executive producers of A Different World. And so I went out to stay with her, and I ended up auditioning and doing a part on the show. I only did one episode, like a part on the show. So I went out there, but I don't like LA. It's not for me. There's no magic in the air, and people just lie to you, casting people. I remember once, and I don't remember anybody's name, so this won't get anybody, and nobody cares anymore anyway, but I remember there was a casting person for ABC, the head of ABC casting, who knew who I was, and he said, I want you to meet the daytime and nighttime person. And so I went in this room and met these two women, and I go and sit, and they look at me and they go, oh, we don't really have anything for you. Aye. And so I said, okay, no big deal. So I walked out of the meeting, and he said, how'd it go? And I said, they said they don't have anything for me. And he said, oh, isn't that interesting? Because they haven't read half the scripts yet. So they just took a look at me and decided, not TV material. And I was like, well, I don't care. Nothing ever bothers me. I'm always like, fine, I'll just go back to New York and I'm cool. It's all good. Yeah. So LA was never my jam, and I never considered living there.
Did Whoopi the Whoopi sitcom film in New York? I know it took place.
Yeah.
It actually filmed here. That's very cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Kaufman Astoria. Yeah, Whoopi did not want to be in LA either, so it filmed here. It was such a wonderful gig. It was so much fun, so much fun. Really wonderful. And canceled after one season. So
was that it was like right after September 11th? Is that right?
It was 2003 because I was in 42nd Street.
Yeah.
And our contract came up, Jonathan Freeman and myself, and they fired us because the director hated us. Oh, and they fired us, and the producers were like, we cannot go to bat for you one more time. It'll be a bloodbath. So they fired us. And then I got Whoopi. So it was like, oh, okay.
Good riddance.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. And that director's dead now, too.
I love it. Oh, boy.
Okay. So recently you played Aunt Eller in the St. Anne's production of Oklahoma, sometimes referred to as Sexy Oklahoma, that then transferred to Broadway in 2019. Can you talk to us about how that show was initially pitched to you and how you interpreted this grounded Aunt Eller, who is usually like a classic musical theater second banana, character?
Well, it was Daniel Fish, who is the director, who I adore. And he just called me and asked me, do you want to do it? It's funny because I was doing a reading with Sally Struthers at the time. And I knew Daniel because I had done a Polly Penn reading with him years before. But I didn't remember that. He had to remind me. And then he called me and he was like, we're going to do, and we started a New York Theater Workshop just at the table, just reading through the script. And he wanted to pare it down a bit. So he had to give other character lines to other characters and stuff like that. And so we just worked around a table so anyway, he called and asked, and I had made Sally Struthers dinner because I had recorded an awards show or something and she didn't see it. So I said, come over, I'll make you dinner and then you can watch the award show. So I was in my bedroom talking to Daniel and I said, I can't talk long because I have Sally Struthers is watching whatever the show was. And so he's like, yeah, I really would love you to play Aunt Eller. And wait a minute, Sally Struthers is in your living room. I was like, yeah. So that's how it happened. He just called and I was like, sure. And the thing about Daniel is that I just love the way his brain works. He just wanted it simple and honest. So I never really thought about it. It was just an honest playing of the character. And I had never seen Oklahoma. I'd never seen any of it. I might have seen the movie, but I doubt it because I just don't watch that much stuff. And so it just became just an honest telling of that story. And that script is so good. It's just so good. So that's what it was. And we did it at New York Theater Workshop. Then we went to Bard and did it up at Bard for 7 weeks, completely sold out the entire run. Then we went to St. Anne's 4 years later. And then then we went to Broadway. So it was a long process. I loved it.
Obviously, like this is an iconic moment, which is like Aunt Eller, making Jiffy cornbread at the beginning of the show, which of course is then like served to the audience at intermission along with like a cup of chili. Mary, is after like 300 performances plus of Oklahoma, is cornbread persona non grata at your house?
No, I mean, I didn't eat any of that. And also that wasn't what everybody ate. What I made was,
Yeah, what happened to that? Did you just throw it in the trash?
Yeah, because it wasn't real milk. It was like white paint. You know what I mean? It was in order to keep the cost.
It was stage business.
Down.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was the Jiffy stuff. Yeah. And it started out where Daniel wanted me to churn butter, but the butter churn was so loud. So I was like, and I always teased him, like, what am I going to do next? Get some bees and make my own honey on stage? Yeah. So it could have been churning butter, which was way too loud. So it was cornbread. Yeah.
It was very good.
Yeah.
Harkening back to what I feel like is a very important moment in your career, for 2 weeks in 1984, you stepped into Liza Minnelli's role in Kander and Ebb's Broadway musical, The Rink. Liza had checked herself into Betty Ford, and for the 2 weeks that you went on, you played Chita Rivera's daughter, of course. It was pretty early on in your career. Was there a sense for you that you were intimidated to step in for a legend, opposite a legend, or were you just like, I'm raring to go?
No, I never thought about that. I mean, it just was it was a really good part for me. And I had auditioned for it originally. The director was A.J. Antoon, who's long passed away, but it was a very good part for me. So no, I didn't think about that. It was a very hard situation for a lot of reasons. I'm not going to go into all of them, but it was a very hard situation. But I had a ball, and it was wonderful being with Chita. She's tough, but she's great. And also that's where I met Graziella Danielle, who I adore, because I'm a nosebag. I was in the stage manager's office once, and I was looking through things, and I saw their notes from the auditions, and the PSM had written on a sheet about me that I couldn't sing the role. And Grazie is the one that said, Mary is the only one on that stage with star quality. She's the only one. And so that's, I think, the reason why I got the job. And Rob Marshall was Grazie's assistant. So Robbie taught me the show. It was a great time. And, I was young. I just, the older you get, the more you see like important things, or the more you go, oh my God, this is a little stressful. But at that time I was like, listen, I can do this. It's no problem. Let's go. So I did. And it was great.
Can I ask, so Rob taught you the show. Did you have engagement with Kander and Ebb at all? Or did you audition for them initially?
Yes.
Like, anything there?
They were around, and I loved them. John is divine, and Fred was hilarious. Fred would sit just off stage and go, "This show is shit," like really loud. I just thought they're divine. Fred is long past, and John's going to be like one of the oldest composers on Broadway this year. Yeah, John is just a gentleman and a lovely, lovely man. I haven't seen him in a while, but. And I don't know him really well, but my dealings with him over the years, I just have such respect for him. He's a wonderful man and incredibly talented.
I love that score so much.
Yeah, it's a great score. It's a really good show. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, I guess they keep trying to revive it. I don't know that it will get I don't know, but it was a really interesting experience.
Yeah.
Do you have any, like, what is the most Chita story? Like, is there a Chita Rivera story?
Yes, I have a number of Chita stories. It's very difficult to come into a show for any understudy, standby, anything, their first few shows, because your pace is different from theirs. And so one of the first shows I was doing, she leaned down and said in my ear, "Pick up the pace." Like, that's like, okay. And then she's amazing, but she plans things out and she doesn't deviate from the way she does something. And one night on stage, I said something to her and she answered me back in a completely different way. And when we got off stage, I said, "I got you. I got you." And she said, "Yes," and it didn't work. Those are my two. Yeah, those are my two favorite stories about Chita.
Okay, quick question, actually. Would you ever do a revival of the show and play the Chita Rivera role, play the mother role?
That would be great, but, you have to be a real big dancer to do that. You have to be Chita Rivera dancer to do that. And I'm not that at all. As I told you, I wouldn't go to dance class. So
I respect
they'd have to rethink it. Yeah, they'd have to rethink it,
I think in an interview with Seth Rudetsky, you intimated that Stockard Channing, who was taking over for the Liza role, was not quite ready, which is part of the reason why you went in for those 2 weeks.
No, she was supposed to come when Liza was done. It's not that she wasn't ready. She was a little mean, but what are you going to do?
What are you going to do? She is who she is. So when your 2 weeks, when she came in, did you stay in the show? Were you still a standby?
Yeah, I was still the standby. That was very difficult. I remember going home and just throwing myself on the bed and crying. It was hard. It was hard, and people made it harder than it had to be too. I remember once there was a album party when the album was released, and I was there, and some producer came up to me, because there's always a million producers on shows, and he was like, "Gee, this must be hard for you." And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, you're not on the album, so this must be weird." And it's like, people just make it harder than it needs to be. So there were little tiny deaths that I suffered during that, but it was a great experience, and I'm glad I did it. And it was Liza. Liza is a superstar. People love her, and she never remembers. She doesn't remember me. And she was not in a great place when she went to Betty Ford. So, and it's fine. I don't care. I'm not, hanging with her, but she was spectacular in that role. When she was on, she was spectacular. And you could really see why she is a superstar, So I have great respect for both of them. Mm.
Okay, Mary Testa, this is the part of the show for us we call rapid fire. I want to be really transparent that yours isn't that rapid. So it might be we're throwing things at you, but you can take your time to answer the question.
Okay.
It's we're going all over the place.
Great.
Okay. So you made your Broadway debut in 1980 in Barnum, where you were swing for multiple parts: master juggler, acrobat, wire walker, trapeze artist, baton twirler. What was more terrifying, not knowing what trick you'd have to do each night, or rehearsing for Forum in front of Stephen Sondheim?
Well, I had a little bit of a history with Sondheim, so I don't think Sondheim ever really liked me. And to be frank, I didn't really like him either. So it was great to work for him for Forum. I had to have a session with him, but he snapped his fingers at me to stop me instead of treating me like a human being. And that didn't go over big with me. Yeah. Barnum, I was hired because I could sing the role, the one black woman role in the show. It was very low. I could not do any of those circus skills, but they hired me anyway. So that was hilarious. And I went on for every single person, including the world champion baton twirler, who twirled 3 batons at once in the opening number in Act 2. And I made a complete fool out of myself several times during that show. So that was a whole other. And I couldn't get arrested during that time. I was desperate to get out of that show. That was my first Broadway show. That's another classic story of mine. I was working on March to the Falsettos at the time when I got Barnum. And we were making $75 a week at Playwrights Horizons, and Barnum was going to pay me $400 a week. This was 1980. And I realized that I chose to be an actor. It was my first art versus commerce conundrum. Mm-hmm. And so I had to take Barnum, even though I didn't want to. I wanted to stay, but I knew that I had to do it. And it was awful because Bill didn't speak to me for a year. It was awful. Mm. And I was hired 2 weeks before they opened. So this was a company that was very tight, and they were like, who is this? And why is she here? So it was an awful experience. But I ended up knowing that show better than anybody. And I'm the one that helped them stage the first national tour because I knew it better than anybody. And I went on for everyone. But what happened was everyone had circus skills. So if the wire walker was out, somebody else would be like, I want to do the wire walker. So I'd be like, great, I'll just climb up the Spanish web. That's the only thing I did that I knew how to do. So those are my answers for your 2.
So you were Terri White's cover, to be clear, right? And like, does Terri White, or did Terri White have circus skills as well?
No, because that role, there was an ensemble of people with circus skills, but that role was Joyce Heth, the 80-year-old woman, and then the black and white singer, basically. So it wasn't, there wasn't any circus skills involved in that role. Yeah. Yes. And when I went on a lot for I keep saying the one black role in the show because that's what it was. The audience would be confused because there was a cart that I came out on to sing Thank God I'm Old. And there was a big banner with the face of Joyce Heth, which was a black face. And they would be like, what is happening? But, it was classic stories. I have great, classic, hilarious, and soul-crushing Barnum stories. Really.
It's incredible.
Yeah. Yes. That's the hardest job in the world, is to be a swing.
It's insane.
I can only imagine.
Yeah, it's just props for the swings of the world, because you've got to learn so much stuff.
Can I ask a quick question? Like, okay, say you go on for the baton twirler and you drop the baton, you don't do it. Like, do you get notes after the show and they're like, you drop the fucking baton, Mary? Or they're like, you know what? This is just what it is. You're the swing. You're coming in. It's like, everybody's doing the best they can. Thank you so much.
You get notes, but also they knew that there was no way that I was going to be able to do any of that stuff. They knew. And when they called to hire me, I said, wait a minute, I think you have the wrong person. Did you see my audition? Because I told them, look, I don't go up in the air. I don't do that. I can juggle and I can walk and talk, but I don't do this. But they hired me anyway because Cy Coleman was in the audience when I auditioned. And I happened to be the person there that day that could do it.
Amazing. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Mary. Carrie Bradshaw was rude and talked during your entire rendition of All That Jazz in your episode of Sex and the City. The question is, in your mind, what venue was your character Debbie Cass singing in? 1, Don't Tell Mamas. 2, the Duplex. Or 3, the Metropolitan Room. May she rest in peace.
None of them. I just was doing it. And the camera wasn't really focused on me anyway. It was all about, what's his name?
Willie Garson.
Willie's husband, Willie's boyfriend. Sean Palmer. Sean Palmer played it.
Yeah.
So it was mostly focused on him. So
the people that I mess with are focused on you, Mary.
Yeah. Oh, that's lovely. Thank you. But no, I wasn't thinking of any venue because I'm not like a big cabaret person. So I wasn't thinking of any venue. I was just like, we shot it. It used to be a club on 14th Street, like right near me. 14th between 8th and 7th. We shot it there. It's not, I don't know
that
what
old
it is.
Theater? That old theater?
That old, it's like
on the south
to
side of
8th
the street?
Avenue.
On the south side of the street.
Yes. Yeah. That's where we shot it.
Okay. Yeah. It's closed now, of course.
Yeah, it's totally closed. I don't know what it is now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Mary, we love the 2001 revival of 42nd Street. I'm going to ask you some of my gossipy questions. You can indulge me or you don't have to, but I'm just going to ask them since I have time with you for the first time in my life.
Absolutely.
Okay. Number 1, what the fuck were they doing putting Ebersol in lead actress and then you and Kate Levering in supporting together?
You know what? It's what happens with me always. I don't understand about Kate, and I understand about mine. Supporting. I was supporting. That's totally supporting. Kate, I don't understand.
Yeah.
It's not, the Tonys are.
Yeah.
It's a whole other bag of worms.
Yeah.
Can of worms.
Mm-hmm.
Bag of worms, can of worms. It's not.
It's a bag.
How do I put this? It's politic.
Okay, so in the same vein of politics, was there drama when Kate then left the show after only 4 months for that Thou Shall Not? Because the show had was a big hit then.
I don't remember there being drama, no.
Okay. Third question. Because there was the tap numbers had to be so spectacular, was it true that because they hired these amazing tappers that a lot of tap dancers were lip syncing the numbers?
No. I think that if my memory serves, there might have been some sweetening. Okay. But they were singing. Okay,
last question. Was living through 9/11 with Christine Ebersol an experience?
What do you mean?
I don't know if you...
She has those theories. Yeah, no, I didn't deal with any of that.
Okay,
Didn't deal
great.
with it. But I will say that was the most moving because 9/11 was that a Monday?
That sounds right. I think that's
I think
right.
it was a Monday or a Tuesday that it happened. And we started performing again on the Thursday. And I remember I went to the stage management and I said, please tell the producers, or I might even talk to a producer, that the smartest thing they could do would be to give every single firefighter and EMT person a free ticket to this show. The first time that we come back. They didn't, of course. They didn't do that. But the audience, we were in that big, I don't even know what it's called now. It was the Ford Center when we were 42nd Street, whatever that theater is.
The American Airlines, maybe? Or
No,
no.
the one over one.
It's the Harry Potter one. It's where Harry Potter is.
Okay.
That theater's huge. It's over 2,000 seats. There were only 300 people there that night. And when that overture started, we all just started sobbing. It was the most moving experience. It was a really amazing night. Yeah.
It was a beautiful show, really.
It really was.
It was an incredible show. Yeah, it really was an incredible show. It was a very difficult process, but it was an incredible show. Yeah.
Mary, you appeared in the infamous Marilyn, An American Fable, which saw the actress playing Marilyn Monroe, the actress playing young Norma Jean, and the director Kenny Ortega all replaced. Opening night was pushed twice, and it only officially ran for 17 performances. Frank Rich said, quote, Marilyn is incoherent to the point of being loony. I defy anyone to explain, just for starters, why 10 chorus boys dressed in pink plumbers' costumes sing a song about bubble baths at the climax of Act 2. Look, please describe this experience with the show, because honestly, to us, it sounds great. And also, what the fuck is wrong with Frank Rich?
Marilyn was a mess. But
Sounds
I will
so
say
good.
this. Somebody gave me a bootleg. You know, there was always bootleg tapes. And
Yeah.
if they had a really good dramaturg and a really good director, not to say Kenny wasn't a good director, because Kenny's done some amazing things, but he was let go early on. And then it was a succession of boobs, you know, like people who were not directors. They ended up being Wally Harper. Wally Harper, who was Barbara Cook's accompanist mostly, he's passed a long time. He became the director. It just was really wrongheaded. Half the producers were from LA and half were from New York. It just was a mess. But there was a show in there. But they just never got it together. And the woman who originally played Marilyn, Jerry something was her name. She was so scary because she looked just like Marilyn. But she didn't hit the back row. You know what I'm saying? So it was just a mess. It was a mess and quite an experience. It's too bad, but you know, it's legendary.
Yeah, legendary. So shows that film in New York City are so great because they often hire like a bevy of theater actors. And you've appeared in so many of these. The Good Fight, Law & Order, Sex and the City, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, Smash Divorce, Difficult People, Nurse Jackie. Why the fuck haven't we seen you yet, though, on The Gilded Age?
I auditioned for The Gilded Age. I had a call back during Oklahoma and I didn't get it.
Fuck that.
And I won't even watch it because I'm like, bye. Yeah, I didn't get it.
You're not missing anything.
I think I was auditioning to play the role Deborah Monk plays. And of course I'm going to go with Deborah Monk. Deborah Monk has like more cachet than I do. So, you know, I don't know what it is. I think this is an Italian face that frightens people. I don't know. I mean, I really
Deborah
don't.
Monk is doing some Irish accent in the show. So maybe they're like too Italian.
Yeah, I don't, you know, I really just don't know. But it happens to me kind of a lot. And I mean, I know I'm capable. It's just, I don't know. It's got to be this. I don't really know. I don't really know.
It's italphobic. Italphobic is what I call it. Whenever someone's rude to me, I just say it's italphobic.
Yeah. I think that Michael John, that's one of the reasons why I love Michael John, because he's an Itai too. And we get, are you Italian?
Yep, 100%.
Yeah. So we get that. We get that. And I will always say that Italians are shit on more than anybody. We don't get that play. You know what I mean? We don't get any consideration for that. But we are. And I don't like it. But I go where my people are. And that's fine with me. Also, like I do, like, you name all these shows and I do one thing or two things and then that's it. You know what I mean? I'm never, like, I'm dying to get like a regular on a show, but I don't know that that'll ever happen. Whatever. I'll keep working. It doesn't matter.
Okay, Mary, please do tell who was more prepared. Jennifer Aniston, who was chained to the bed in The Bounty Hunter, or Julia Roberts, who got her delicates folded by James Franco in Eat, Pray, Love?
I'm going to say Jennifer Aniston because she said hello to me.
Got it.
Okay. Okay.
It's a low bar. It's literally a low bar for movie stars. It's so low.
If a person is a star of a movie and you're in a scene with them, it's their obligation to introduce themselves and say hello and make you comfortable. And if that doesn't happen, I don't like it.
100%. Actually, this is the second story we've heard about Jennifer Aniston being, like, at least Jane Howdy show. We were like, is it a mannequin head in the scene? And she was like, no, she was there. And we were like, really? And then we were like, was she? And she was like, she was very nice. She like was there.
No, she was very nice. She did her thing. The director loved her. Like, no matter what she did. I mean, I had like one scene. That was it. The maid. But anything she did, the director just was in heaven. But she's Jennifer Aniston. She's adorable. And of course, whatever, But she was very nice.
She's a good little Greek girl. I appreciate it.
Yes.
Okay, Mary Testa, final question, and it's a very important one. You're a consummate professional. When you stepped into the Broadway production of Chicago as matron Mama Morton, be honest, did you create a backstory for her, like giving her a first name since it's probably neither matron nor mama? And
no.
Did you play her as a lesbian?
No. I just played her I just sang the number and play. And that is one of the easiest gigs on Broadway. Delightful. And that was
if you can sing it, which you could. I mean, you made amazing character choices in your rendition, which everyone should look up.
Oh, is that right?
Yes.
You did. We actually sent it to each other yesterday because there's two moments. And the first one was...
One is like you do like a little hesitation on when you're good to mama, 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 mama. I think there's like a hesitation there. And then you go up, option up at the end.
Oh, yes. Well, that was me. Yes, that was me. But Walter Bobby, the director, who worked with me once, said, he's the one that gave me, I'm the biggest mother, like you're going to say motherfucker, and then him. So that was from Walter. So that wasn't me. No, I didn't create a backstory. That's not, it's not necessary. I mean, if I was a total pro, I would have, but, and what happened was my mother had just passed away and they called and asked if I would do it for 3 months. And, I was like number 800 and some odd something. The same thing happened, like Wicked too. I was like number 5,000 horrible. You know what I mean? I'm very grateful for the gigs because they're lovely gigs,
Yeah.
And that was good. And I went into the theater, like one of the first days, one of the dancers, Sean, I can't think of his last name. It's like a Monjame or something like that, said to me, you're going to get really sick. And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, everybody gets really sick when they come into this theater, just so you know. And I did. I got so sick and was out of the show for almost 2 weeks when I first came in because I lost my voice completely. And just got really sick. It's, they just paint over mold.
Okay,
it's black mold in the walls.
With the mold situation.
Yeah, so all the theaters have shit in them anyway. But I was very grateful for that job because it gave me something to focus on because my mother had died. So
I'm so glad the option, we're going to link it in the show notes. Your rendition is excellent. Mwah.
Oh, thank you. That's so nice. Before I went in, it was Ann Nathan.
Oh, love her. She's incredible.
And she was great. So I went and saw the show with Anne, and she was great as well. Everybody makes their own different choices.
Can I ask you, do you remember who your Roxy and Velma were?
It was Charlotte and Brenda Braxton.
100%, yes.
Yeah.
That's a good trio.
Yeah, and then Luba Mason came in. Luba Mason was, yeah. And I know Luba, she's another Michael John aficionado.
Yeah.
So, yeah. No, it was a nice gig, really nice gig. It's so easy. It's so easy.
We're ready for you to come back anytime you want to. You know what I mean? We'll be there.
I was walking my dog the other day, and I was crossing the street. There was this really big, tall, very handsome guy. And I thought to myself, he's nice looking. I thought it. I didn't say it. And he goes, can't wait to see you back on Broadway. So I was like, yeah, me too, over my shoulder. It was very sweet.
I'm sorry, I love New York. This is why we're in New York.
Exactly. Annie Golden calls them nods from God.
Oh, I love that.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. I know. That was a nod from God, yeah.
Mary Testa, this has been a total joy. Thanks for spending a little bit of your time this afternoon with us.
Thank you so much for asking. And you guys are delightful. And this was so much fun. And I really appreciate it.
Can I just say a thing that I have started to do in the last few years that, I don't know, it doesn't mean anything. And I want to say, like, it doesn't mean anything, but it's like a funny thing, is my top list of Italian Americans.
Yeah.
And can I just say that after interviewing Mary Testa, like, I had this expectation, but we always try to temper what our expectations are, because you never know what someone's going to give in person or via the Zoom. But, like, you never know what someone's going to give in an interview versus what they give on stage or on TV and, film. And you never want to, like, confuse that. But Mary Testa really is just worming her way up to my top Italian Americans. She is just incredible. Also,
Ronnie agrees.
Ronnie is co-signing the thought, and for that I appreciate an adopted Italian American.
I just love that Mary was like, oh, I didn't really like Sondheim. He didn't really like me either.
That's so cool.
No, I didn't really do any backstory because that's the easiest job on Broadway is to do Chicago. It's a great job. But I was like, that's incredible because people never want to say that. But Mary Testa's at a point in her career where she's so good. She's so she has proved her quality in the industry. And I think people just say, of course, Mary's a pro. She's going to give the best performance. She's so funny. She's so smart. She's so grounded. She is going to give us what we need. So it's not even a question. Here's the thing. When I put the Christine Ebersol question into the document, Damien gave me a look that said, are you really going to ask this? And I said, I have to ask it, but we're going to put it in gray. And so when we do our Google Doc, it just means that we bold the things that if we're short on time, we have to get to the bolded items. But we put the 9/11 question sort of as a sidebar, which is like, if we think the room is right, I'm going to ask it. If it's clear that that's not on the table, we'll just skip it, and we both know the drill. Mm-hmm. And I just felt like the water was right for me to dip my toes into that Christine Ebersol pool. And Mary was like, wait, what? Oh, you mean her crazy beliefs? Yeah, I didn't get into that. But 9/11 was actually really moving. And I was like, I love it. She acknowledged it. She was like, yeah, I understand. But this was the thing that stood out to me about my experience with 42nd Street, besides the fact that they fired her and Jonathan Freeman, which was bullshit.
Listen, let me tell you, that production.
It was so good.
If you're 30 plus and you are our kind of person, that production was like riddled with drama. And I'm not joking when I'm saying like Kate Levering leaving in my memory was a thing because she was leaving for Thou Shalt Not with Harry Connick Jr. Anyway, it was a thing in my memory. And then Mary said it wasn't, but I think it was, but maybe she was not affected by it because there was like so much other stuff happening. But like that production, like it was so beautiful and big. And it was just a huge show. The curtain, if I'm not mistaken, the curtain like raised and you just saw them tapping.
Yes.
It was very.
And then the mirror flips at a certain point, so it's this outrageous visual.
It was so cool. It was such a cool show, and I think it emphasized the dancing in a way that I'd have to do like a deeper, like introspective, like look back. But in my recent memory of like for shows I've seen live, can't think of a show that emphasized the dancing that much, in that kind of way. It was a really special production to me. I saw it when I was in high school. So getting to like ask Mary those like, hey, these are the things that I've heard over the years. Are any of them true?
Yeah, she was totally game to like play ball with us, which was lovely. I love her so much. And I'm glad, you know what? I'm glad for Mary that she's not on the Gilded Age. I'll say it.
100%. She show's terrible. Donna Murphy, though, best in show.
Donna Murphy, 100% best in show.
We are putting her on our vision board for 2023 because she is for sure best in show. Yeah, and I think that like, we are always here and we are ready to talk to anyone in any medium who is really like a you might know her from. And obviously that is a big and broad title that we are giving to anybody. But I do think that on the New York stage, Mary Testa is one of the most you might know her from. Like there are a few of them, and I think she is for sure top of the heap. So happy we got to have her here. What a pleasure. Thank you for being on board with it. She is so fucking cool. And if you didn't get to see Xanadu, in real time, please go look up some of the clips from it.
Honestly,
because she and Jackie Hoffman are giving the most.
And I have to say, like, I rarely like to promote bootlegs, but I feel like the culture is changing a little bit, especially for shows that have closed. It's like, okay, you captured this moment. There's a really shaky video camera shot version of the 2007 Xanadu. I've sat and watched the entire thing on YouTube. It's like 2 hours. It's incredible. I think it translates decently well. And you know what? God bless that illegal person that was sitting there.
It's dramaturgy at this point.
It really was. I was so glad to be able to see it. You know, it's just a beautiful thing.
Folks, we're so happy you were here with us.
Yeah. And I'm so glad that you're here in our New York apartment. Not ours. Damien and I didn't ever live together, but he did live above me for a while. But we are in Damien's apartment, and the heat is knocking, which for me is a very comforting sound because I grew up with radiators that knock, and I live with radiators that knock. And for me, it feels like home.
It is like, you know, you always say the soundscape of New York, which includes like Ronnie's rattling, the sirens, the heater and all of that, and also in this apartment the sink that like gurgles. But yes, thank you for being on board. I feel like you are part of the family if you're listening to this.
Yeah,
and we're so happy to have you with us. You know, this is the thing that we love doing the most, and I mean that in earnest. Like, what a challenging year this has been for I think certainly for me, and I think in ways for Anne as well. Like, we both have just been transitioning in different ways, which is why we are here monthly.
Yeah,
but you know, like, we love doing this the mostest of all of the things that we are doing the most, because sometimes the things we are doing the most are not the things we want to be doing the most.
They're just the things that like get us to the doctor.
You have to do the thing from X to Y to Z. So we love doing this show. We are so grateful and happy that you have followed us along this far. We're so grateful for Mary Testa, and we're so happy that you are here with us. So thank you. Thanks to our longtime listeners who have come to listen. And if you're a new listener that you caught us because you love Mary Testa, please leave us a written review, you know, a little 5-star written review on Spotify or the Apple Podcast app or wherever you listen to your podcast. Like, it really means a great deal. Like, we're not under any sort of podcasting network. So your written review, your like rating of 5 stars or beyond really does make a significant impression in the algorithm, and also just like helps boost us in other people's feeds. So thank you. Please give us that. It will really help us keep doing this thing, because we really love doing it, and hope to figure out how to do it more often than not.
And if you're hankering for more content from us, you can follow us on social media on all mediums. He is Damien Bellino. That's DamianBellino. And I am Rodeman. That's Rodemanne on all mediums.
You might know her from It's produced by us. That's Damien Bellino and Ann Rodeman. We also want to thank our consultants at Grumpy Entertainment. That's Jason Jude Hill and Daniel Sears. Also, that silky, smooth, peanut butter smooth editing is by the great, the wonderful, and the very kind and confident and gentle Daniel Sears.
Special thanks to Gang. Every song you hear on each and every episode of You Might Know Her From, I almost said 90210. Each and every episode of You Might Know Her From is courtesy of Gang. Thank you so much, Gang. You're the best.
Do you think Kaya Gerber's a lesbian?
Wait, why? Yeah, I think she's bi. Kaya Gerber dated who?
She's so pretty. You know, like...
Wait, why were you thinking about Kaya Gerber?
I Googled her the other day because I was like, I remember people being on Du Moi, which I unfollowed because I hate them.
They're horrible.
But they were like... It was always like people being like, Kaya Gerber, she was out with like some actor, and I don't understand modern celebrity.
Yeah.
But I remember people being like...
Is she dating like... She dated Austin Butler for a while.
Yeah. Oh, is that right?
Yeah, but he's like significantly older than her, I think.
I think it was just like there was like this relationship that was like in the very public eye, and people were like, oh, it's like because she is gay and she's like dating. There was like she was
a man.
She was dating a man because she's gay, and so she's dating a man in like the paparazzi so they can catch it. And that's when I was like, oh, I don't know who she is. Yeah. And so recently I was like, oh, is she like, had she come out? Like, is there any development? And I Googled her, and then I was like, oh, she is beautiful. And like, you know
she's Cindy Crawford's daughter, right?
Of course.
Okay,
and,
I'm just checking.
I don't care about like fashion in a way that other folks do, but I do care about 90s supermodels.
Obviously.
And
House of Style.
Yes. And I recently Googled like the term supermodel and read just like for like an hour about supermodels, and was like, Jesus, I really loved Cindy Crawford. I think she's my number one. I also love Christy Brinkley, but Cindy Crawford maybe more than anybody.
I think it's maybe just getting old and you don't care anymore at a certain point. But I don't know who we had on the show, but I did watch like Oh my God, it was Patricia Velasquez, who we had on, who was a supermodel and a lesbian and dated Sandra Bernhard. And then I watched 2 documentaries that featured her in them. I'm going to link them out in the show notes.
It was the Isaac Mizrahi documentary,
Yes.
and then she's also in the other one that Cindy Crawford's like a lead in. What is it called?
I can't remember.
A lead in. When I say that, I mean it's the one that.
She was in both of them, and I'm going to put both of them in the show notes because they're like 90 minutes, black and white, incredible, both online. I watched them about a year and a half ago, and it really did ignite that fire for me. I was like, I similarly was very obsessed with 90s supermodels. And maybe it's because they were giving off queer vibes that we didn't even know, because all of the gossip sites were like, oh, all of them were like fucking women. And I'm not saying that they're gay. I'm just saying like a lot of them were also sleeping with women in the 90s and like spending time at queer bars in the 90s.
I'm not going to respond because I think it's good. I'm ending it.